This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today in the studio is the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO, Zach Vassar. On the phone, we have our music director, Alain Trudel, and also with us in the studio, all masked up and ready to go, is... Please welcome, don't look scared, Rachel, it's okay. Please welcome the Toledo Symphony's Director of Education and Community Engagement, Rachel Schultz. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
You didn't know we had that little musical fanfare for you, did you?
I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
But somehow she knew every note. She was dancing. She knew exactly what was coming.
Well, you know, I feel like we sort of have to pump it up a little bit when we have a special guest in the studio. You are here to talk a little bit about education. We're kind of framing today's episode around the idea of Music in Our Schools Month, which is March, right? We're still in March, yeah.
Yes.
Marching forward into the educational future. Anyway, Rachel, you're going to talk to us about some of the stuff that's going on with Toledo Symphony, because we haven't talked with you in a while about education, and that is, as always, a very important part of the TSO's charter. So you want to take it away and talk a little bit first about what's happening right now with educational activities?
Yeah, and, you know, I was just thinking probably the last time we talked was almost a year ago. I think it was just when we were starting to do lessons and everything online.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot has changed, which is great. We're doing a lot of great things. So one of our sort of staples of Music in Our Schools Month is our work with the Toledo Public Schools. So we have an annual fourth grade concert in which all of the Toledo Public Schools fourth grade classes come to the peristyle. Okay, so, you know, we're not doing that this year. They can't take field trips. So we will be delivering the concert to them. They'll be able to watch it during their music classroom and rewind, stop, pause, rewatch as many times as they want to. The other thing that we're able to do, thanks to a lot of our funders, last year things shut down right before the fourth grade concert. So the current fifth graders missed out. So they'll be able to watch as well. So we'll reach a lot of students this year.
Yeah, that's great. Alain, I know that you've been, you know, sort of sequestered away from what's going on here physically, but you're able to engage online and digitally. And I imagine that you've continued to be involved in educational aspects just from where you are. Is that the case?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And hello, everybody. And hello, Rachel, again. This one part that we do is that we're working a lot on our Tapa classroom, and we're working on not only programming, but being part of it. Like the concert this week, I was teaching all the moves for the little, in the Hall of the Mountain King and things like that. We can do a lot, even on stage, you know, with the screens and all that.
Wait, there are moves for In the Hall of the Mountain King?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like a Macarena meets hand jive.
Oh, now I've got to see this.
If only Alain were on a video call, he could show it to you.
Is there going to be somewhere where we can watch this sort of thing, or is that just part of the instruction?
If you support the organization at a high enough level, we'll do it for you.
Spoken like a true CEO. Indeed, that's wonderful. Well, one of the things that I want to do is, because, you know, even in the face of the pandemic, music education has become so important. And I mean, teachers and students, they've been going through the shutdown, learning from home. It's been very difficult, I know, for a lot of kids, as well as for their parents, as well as for teachers. But music seems to be taking on even more importance than ever, and it's certainly something that needs to be preserved right, during the pandemic.
And there is this disjunction right now as we're all moving into virtual education and spending more time in front of our screens. This seems to be the thing that is happening less and less, just because this is normally the outreach that would typically happen with school assemblies or field trips, and those just aren't happening right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's requested us to become a little more facile and innovative in our approach.
Well, we can take a field trip to Alain's Facebook page when he posts that video doing the Macarena hand jive version of Mussorgsky, right? or
Mountain King, yeah.
Yeah, Grieg, sorry. I was thinking of the other one, Bald Mountain, right?
That has a kick line. That's a very different choreography. Yeah.
That's a completely different set of moves. Well, speaking of moves, I asked Rachel, and Alain is going to weigh in on this too, to tell us their story in terms of your own musical education experience. I mean, for you, Rachel, it was just a few years ago when you started at age 4. But I'm going to pull up a little music for you. Now, we have a choice here. Let's see. Maybe this will work. Okay. Let's dial it back, Rachel, to age 4 and just tell us how you got started. Then you can skip ahead if you want.
I will. Okay, so I am the youngest of 3 girls. And my older sisters were both forced to play piano when they were 6 years old.
Wow.
And when my second sister, the middle sister, started, I was 3 and I begged to take lessons. So, it was just down the street with the little old lady from the church, but it was still pretty great. We were required to take lessons through 8th grade, and I kept going. And I ended up going to the Cleveland Institute of Music for my undergrad. And I should mention, throughout this time, I did not want to teach because I did not like children. Yeah. And I definitely hated the Suzuki method of music education because they were just training a bunch of robots. Okay, so
wow,
like this is the I have so many questions.
I know. So this is like the exact opposite. So I needed to take an easy elective at CIM, an easy theory elective. So I took the Dalcroze Eurythmics pedagogy.
There are no easy classes on theory. I'm sorry.
Well, and so this is why I took the pedagogy class, because I loved the Eurythmics teacher at CIM, David Brown. Like, he is amazing. And I wanted to watch him work with little kids and just see, like, how does this giant of a man do this? And it just so happened that semester, a local Dalcroze teacher was having some health issues, and she asked me to substitute for her. And I remember I actually had to take the bus because this was, Cleveland undergrad. I didn't have a car. And I got back on the bus as I was leaving the school. And I was like, I just basically sang and played with kids for 30 minutes and I got paid. And it was really cool. And so that was kind of the beginning. So fast forward, I decided to pursue a double major, piano performance and Dalcroze Eurythmics. And I was getting ready to graduate, and I received a job offer from a school, a really well-known Suzuki school in Iowa City, Iowa, that wanted to start a Eurythmics program, and they needed a piano teacher. Again, I was anti-Suzuki this whole time, but I'm like, okay, it's a job in my field, and I only have an undergrad degree. So I talked to my Eurythmics teacher, and he directed me to a fantastic Suzuki piano teacher trainer who is Juilliard trained. Like, she is a pianist, good technique, but she's a Suzuki teacher also, not just, but she was a Suzuki teacher. So I did my training with her. The method makes sense. And since then it's kind of, I've never gone back. So
wow.
It all kind of fits together.
What do you think, Zach?
I love this story, actually. But there are some terms there that some of our listeners might not know. So could you explain what the Suzuki method is and why you abhorred it so much?
Yeah, I'm just switching music. Don't mind me. Go ahead.
He's just having fun. So Dr. Suzuki was a Japanese educator who realized that all children in Japan spoke Japanese. And
I could have told you that.
Well, he got a doctorate, though, so he came upon it through great research.
All right. Whoa. All right.
And it was, and he figured that every child, when given the opportunity, can learn to speak, and when they're surrounded with the right environment. And so in Suzuki lessons, the parents are very actively involved, and it's kind of like, we call it the mother tongue method.
Yeah.
Like, the more you hear it, the more you'll be able to repeat it. So you think about maybe how you both have children, like how your kids were learning how to speak. Like, they made sounds, and you would praise them for saying dada, and
Definitely.
then dada became dad, and then they started sentences, and then paragraphs, and then you started writing, this is an A and this is a B. And so it's just kind of it follows the way you learn a language.
Yeah. I'm still trying to learn how to speak, actually.
You will someday have a great career.
Yeah. I'll work on it.
Then Rachel, what is this Delcroze that you studied?
Okay, so Dalcroze Eurythmics was so Emile Jacques Dalcroze was
Now you're just showing off.
an educator who kind of it's a holistic approach to music education. So different schools take it a different way. So some people really value like the creativity of your clap. So it's basically embodifying the music. So you become the quarter notes and the half notes. At CIM, it was much more of a technical approach. It was almost like a mathematical approach to music. You work a lot with, feeling the beat, moving with the beat, but subdividing to the 16th notes, doing cross rhythms with your body. So it's just a really great way. At the early stages, it gets kids introduced to music, 3 years old, through movement, through using their whole body.
Yeah.
And I think we might have had a Cresswell in my class.
Oh, yeah?
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
How did Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart get involved in this?
Yeah, that I'm not quite sure about. But Eurythmics means like good rhythm, good flow. So maybe
I get it now.
Maybe Annie
I get
kind
it.
of
Yeah,
went that direction.
I could see
with
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
for somebody who, the idea of working with stinky children was so.
Are they sticky or are they stinky?
Well,
Well, if
they're
you
both.
meet
Or
my
both.
daughters, yeah, both.
Okay.
But what does it mean to spend all this time educating kids, especially when it comes to music?
Oh my goodness. So that is what I just was so unexpected to me once I started teaching piano lessons. Just the excitement that you see in their faces. And I still do. I look at it as kind of a puzzle. Like I need to be almost like an investigator to try and get the kids to do what I want them to do without just telling them to do it, if that makes sense. Like you almost kind of have to trick
Well,
them.
they have to be interested in it.
Right.
I mean, it has to be something they can engage in.
Yeah.
And that must be part of the process for you as well, and where the rewards come, and finding those things that engage with kids, that open their eyes, that open their minds and their hearts to music. That's really something that, whether a kid becomes a musician or continues playing or singing or performing or whatever they do throughout their lives, it still helps shape them as a person. It still helps open their possibilities up, right? And the way that they view the world and see everything around them. So, I mean, just like all teachers, you have a big hand in crafting who this person is going to be down the road in the future. And it's great to see that music remains a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, You have something you want to say, Zach?
You were going to say something.
Oh, well, you're talking about, you're looking at the entire child. And that is another big thing about Dr. Suzuki's idea, is that you're developing the entire child. You're not just creating a prodigy, which is what I thought Suzuki was all about back in the day.
That was your comment about creating robots.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. You're not just about creating musical prodigies. You are really interested in developing the entire child and the entire family.
So just to be clear, you're a fan of Suzuki now.
Yes, I am.
She's considering it. Well, I
Okay.
think,
That's good
when we often think about education, youth education. I mean, kids go to school usually together. They have a class that they more or less matriculate with. It's a social thing. A lot of times studying music is highly individual, highly specialized. And if you talk to some professional musicians, they'll even say it's completely introverted. And what I love about the work that Rachel does, and Rachel, you're really good at it, is that you develop these wonderful relationships with these kids and their parents. And this idea of developing the whole child and family becomes part of it. Going to practice or going to a lesson is not being stuck in a room with a piano and one teacher. I mean, these are many times relationships that are forged early that last for a very long time. And I look at some of Rachel's students who are now in high school, and I mean, you're like a social worker for them in some ways. But because you had this foundation and you have such a huge amount of camaraderie, and I think that when you speak in that musical language from such an early age, and we endow these children with that capability, they can't help but have some special moments of recognition for the relationships that they've forged.
Okay. Now, Alain, I know you've been waiting very patiently and very quietly by the phone. You're still there, right?
Of course.
Okay.
I've been listening with great interest.
You see what he did? He made us wait for a second there, and I thought we actually lost him for it. But we have you back. We have you here. We never lost you, I should
Conductors never miss their entrances.
say. That's right. They just make an entrance. Right? So, Alain, let's hear a little bit of your musical education story, because you came to it a little bit later in life. Let me pull up those happy strings here. There we go.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
let's hear your music ed story.
In my particular story, education mixes with community work very closely. I started in a community brass band when I was 12, so I didn't have any piano, violin lessons, because I came from quite a modest background, and we didn't have any money for that. So I started in this group that was run by people that were volunteering their time, big fans of music. Some of them studied music. Some others were just like, one was a policeman, one was at an ice cream parlor, another one actually did some music lessons, but they had all together this love of music and a real interest in youth. In the neighborhood I lived in, you had to find something to do as a teenager. Otherwise, the street would find something for you to do. So it was, and it's still the same in many places, right? So, and I've had a few teenagers myself, and I know that if they're not busy, if you don't keep them busy, they'll find something to do. It's not always the best idea, Sometimes it's good, but not always. So it's good if you keep them busy. So anyway, I just wanted to play. I just wanted to be around my friends, and they wanted to make music, and I love music, of course. My parents were jazz musicians at some point in their career, because jazz musicians, they also at some point need to make a little bit of money, so often they stop being jazz musicians. But and that's that. But it's like that. I started in the band, and it was basically these people who would go out, like trumpet player, would take his guitar and go to Chicago and go hear a master class with Brother Seth, you know? They're not a professional, but they would like pack 2 or 3 of people and just go out there and then come back. And that was like, you know, you learn because you really, really want to go, you want to do it. And then they'd come back and give us all these techniques. There was one guy who was really big into yoga, and that's how I learned to breathe when I play my instrument. And to this day, this is still the technique I use for breathing when I play. So I learned this like the second week I was in the brass band when I was 12 years old, and I still use that. So you never know where your education is going to come from, and that's important because we live in a time where, well, for example, where I live, when I'm not in my apartment in Toledo, there's over here a big disengagement. That people think that, you know, there's so much money flowing in the arts, and it's not so much the case anymore in Canada because there's a big disengagement of a government in music education or education. I would say music education primarily, and people have to get together, and it's kind of the will of the people that puts it together. So that was since I started like that. I don't feel like it's strange. I mean, it's a bit disappointing, but I don't feel like it's strange to have to rely on each other. So education, yes, coming from wherever you can get it. That's interesting for me. That was a point of interest. When you're a kid, you never think about it. You're not thinking, well, this is a pedagogue, well, or this is not a pedagogue. Or it was like, well, this person is sharing with me. So education is about sharing. I'm not, you know, it's not a big eureka moment for anybody. It's true, but you know, sometimes you share a mix of life experience with a certain, you know, if you learn to play an instrument or you learn English or you learn mathematics. But there's a part of life experience that you can teach, especially when you have younger kids and teenagers, and that's where you find your mentors. And very often your mentors are not the people that like you ask like big star athletes and you ask them about their mentors. It's usually their high school coach, or it's rarely the coach they have in the NFL or something like that. I mean, they're great, amazing people, but by then, you kind of know, you're supposed to know what you're doing. And to start well, you need people that are going to be in your corner, going to have your back when you're very young. And I had the very good fortune of having that. And then I auditioned to go in a school because all the schooling is free. Well, it was free. And I auditioned to go in a special school where they had actually an orchestra and a band and choral. And I got in, and then the teacher from that school became my really big mentor for me. So it's not just about learning a skill; it's about learning life, and it's about having an example in front of you of an honorable person doing honorable work and sharing the love of something they really believe in, and that stays with you all your life after that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that you and Rachel are keeping those kids off the streets, right? Keeping them in the classroom, keeping them learning about music. We have a little bit of time left, and I want to try to fit in a few quiz questions, but before we do that... It
is an education show, by the way.
It is.
We should at least test our mettle.
Education show, yeah. Before we do that, though, is there anything else that you guys want to add about what's going on currently or what's coming up in the future with education and TSO?
Yeah. So we've been doing our young people's concerts this year and offering them online. So what is great about that is if you did not have a chance to see our concert in November, Music of the Great Lakes, you can still watch it if you contact me. And our most recent one that we did just the end of February was TikTok TSO, which we actually did have, we made TikTok videos. I don't know. Is it TikToks or just TikTok videos? I don't know. I'm not cool enough to know.
I think you can get away saying both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm not weighing in either way.
All right, good. So our TSO musicians made a TikTok, and then we had some of our students play along with it, and those served as an introduction to some of the music.
Oh, cool.
And it's really educational. You're talking about layering and different approaches to composition. So definitely visit the Toledo Symphony website for more information on that.
And they can contact you there, you said.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I can arrange for them to get access.
Very good.
I think the ability to offer this virtual programming, though, is really interesting because, as Rachel mentioned, it doesn't end when the last note is played, but then it allows music classes to create content for their students, and they can fit it into a couple different classes if they want. They can do it all at once. Having this sort of older model that we used to enjoy where we were doing a school assembly. Let's face it, assemblies mess up the schedule for the day. It makes the teachers and the other classes, all have to give up some time. It's good.
That's why the kids love them.
That's why the kid loves it. But now it's kind of on demand, which I think is such an interesting innovation that we continue to see facility for. And, that's actually kind of inspired us to go in a couple different directions with education as well.
Yeah, so we're in the process of launching Tappa Classroom, which will be an online education resource for music and dance because, Tappa is not just the symphony, but we have the ballet with us as well. And we're hoping that will, it's Music in Our Schools Month. Music in the schools is very important. Music teachers are very important. We are in no way trying to overthrow music teachers, but we want to try and make their lives a little bit easier, give them more tools so that they can be the best they can be. So,
Yay! What Rachel said is super important because we're there to help out. We're there to be part of the community, to be part of our school. We're not there to come in and take the place of anybody because people are incredible. They're doing such an amazing job. And if they can feel like, I got the symphony's got my back on this. This is really something that can empower a lot of people. And sometimes, some of the younger students, they can be impressed by saying, oh, wow, my teacher has some really, some good friends. Mm-hmm. And it just gives more power to those wonderful teachers.
Yay! Got a lot of applause today.
Well, that's good.
I thought I'd get one. Good job, guys.
That can be arranged.
Good job, guys.
There you go. Again, we have Rachel doesn't know who that is, right?
It's Tiny Trudel.
Tiny Trudel. It's Elaine's daughter.
Oh.
She made a cameo a few episodes ago, and now we have her in every episode.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
She is pretty cute.
She is.
Yeah. We used to get a great big awe, every time I played that, everybody would be like, oh, and now you're like, oh, again, he's playing it again.
Alain, I'm sure, I just have never met your other children. I'm sure they are just as adorable as she is.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
She's the only one with an agent.
I was just going to say. The other ones don't appear on the soundboard yet.
So let's see how much of this quiz we can fit into the program today. We may have to take some of it to the podcast.
Let's just do the questions that I get right.
Okay, let me skip through here. Oh, well, we're done for the day. Let's see. Okay, this is a music quote quiz, right? You have to tell me who said it. I'll give you 3 choices of who said this quote about music. For instance, here's one we all know. I may not be a first-rate composer, but I'm a first-class second-rate composer. Right? That was Richard Strauss. Lesser artist borrow, great artist steal. That was Stravinsky. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I think I know who's going to win this one.
I'm just going to take a little nap.
This will be multiple choice, okay?
That doesn't help.
So it's A, B, or C. If music be the food of love, play on. Was that William Shakespeare,
yes.
Ben Jonson, or Christopher Marlowe?
I got the first one.
A.
What was your answer?
Shakespeare,
yes.
Or Marlowe, depending on how you read the history.
Well, those from the play Twelfth Night. Okay. There are 2 means of refuge from the miseries of life, music and cats. I would agree with that.
Rachel, are you raising your hand because you said that?
It was me.
It was
music and cats. Okay, was it Albert Schweitzer? Was it Albert Einstein? Or was it Albert Finney?
I like how deep you had to go into the Albert box to get the...
I could have stopped after the first Albert, right?
You could have, only because
Oh, I love it.
I have a very dear friend who loved cats, and she had that on her refrigerator, right
Wow.
next to magnets of all the different cat bugs.
Okay. Well, tell me if this one's on your refrigerator. All right. The music is not in the notes, but in the silence between.
Yes.
Was that Beethoven? Was that Mozart? Or was that Wagner?
Mozart.
Wow. Rachel's tied with Zach now. You're cleaning up there, Rachel.
I know.
Yeah, it was Mozart. Okay. The only love affair I have ever had was with music. Was that Debussy? Was it Ravel? Or Satie? Haven't had a single bad buzzer yet.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to be the first. I want to say it's Ravel.
Ah.
Zach is ahead by one. Ravel. Okay.
Wow.
I was stuck on Satie, though. Could have been.
I was going to go that way.
Music can name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable. Was it Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland, or George Gershwin? Name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable.
Burns.
I was.
Yeah, well, you were there.
Yeah,
Go with it.
Bernstein.
Bernstein, yeah, Leonard Bernstein. Very good. Zach is ahead by 2. You might win this thing, Zach.
Impossible.
Okay, Love is Friendship, set to music. Was it David Hockney, Jackson Pollock, or Ansel Adams? Love is Friendship, set to music.
Hockney.
No.
Oh, there it was.
I had to look and see.
Pollock. It's Pollock.
Yeah. Jackson Pollock. 1 for Alain. Okay, we're getting there. Music is what tells us that the human race is greater than we realize. Was it Napoleon Bonaparte? Was it Julius Caesar? Or was it Frederick the Great? Take a guess.
Pass.
C.
No, not C either. It was Napoleon, actually.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. I would rather write 10,000 notes than a single letter of the alphabet. Was that Gustav Mahler?
Probably.
Was that Ludwig van Beethoven, or was it Percy Grainger? I would rather write 10,000 notes than a single letter of the alphabet. Mahler, Beethoven, or Grainger?
Wow. That's a great quote. I wish I knew it.
Yeah,
I'll
now
go
you
Granger.
But it's Beethoven.
do. Yeah, it is Beethoven.
Yeah, it's Beethoven.
You should have said it then.
I have a feeling that Alain has known the answers to
I know.
all of
He's just
these, and
waiting
he's
for us to struggle.
letting
that or
us.
he's very quick on the Google.
He's like,
or as they call it in
guys.
Canada, Google.
Okay, guys, it was Beethoven. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams. Was that Rudyard Kipling, Arthur O'Shaughnessy, Roald Dahl, or Willy Wonka?
It is Willy Wonka via
It is,
Roald Dahl.
but where does it come from?
Roald Dahl.
Yeah, it's with.
No, it's not Roald Dahl, actually. That's a buzz.
Wait, he says it, doesn't he?
No, it's Arthur O'Shaughnessy. In his ode, he wrote the poem. It says, "We are the dreamers of dreams." He also coined the term movers and shakers, which he used in that poem. And that caught on as well. So Arthur O'Shaughnessy, name to know. That goes to nobody. Okay, without music, life would be a mistake. Was that
Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche? Wow, Zach.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. This is the bonus question. I am hitting my head against the walls, but the walls are giving way. Was that Mahler, Schoenberg, or
Mahler,
Bartok? It was Mahler. Totally Mahler. I mean, you guys, really, you all did really well, but I think we have to give it to Zach.
I'd like to share this
about
award
that?
with my fellow contestants because it was a group effort to educate the world.
Nice
Also,
try.
I'm going to Disney World.
Excellent. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple and Google Podcasts. And remember, you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website at toledosymphony.com and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find the TSO streaming concerts online at stream.artstoledo.com. My thanks to Zach Vassar, Alain Trudel, and our special guest, Rachel Schultz. I'm Brad Cresswell. You've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.